Hello and welcome to Lighthouse Bitesize.
Well, good evening, everyone. Here at Lighthouse, we are passionate about Jesus and we're passionate about people. So we're passionate about how He has moved in people's lives. We're passionate about people's stories. So we've been putting together what we're calling life stories, where people are sharing testimonies of what God's done in their lives. We're going to be looking at a couple of them this evening, but for now, we're going to just open with a time of worship.
So great, Jesus, in all things. I've seen a glimpse of your heart, a billion years. Still I'll be
Okay, so I'm going to focus on a story of something that happened to me when I was at university. And it was a time when I was actually praying to God and just asking for direction for what I should be doing for the summer. I was conscious that uni holidays are great. You get about three months off at least. And I thought, as well as earning some money, also it'd be really good to, just offer that time to God and say, what do you want me to do in that time? And whilst I was praying, the phone goes. And so I answered the phone. And on the other end of the line was someone who was inviting me to play in a football tour going out to the States with an agency called Sports Reach. And I thought, that sounds quite interesting. Could this be the answer to prayer? But then it was quite a significant costing involved in going. And I remember kind of almost thinking, well, there's these obstacles here. I'm not going to be able to afford to do that. But in spite of that, I kind of chatted to mum and dad and told them about this phone call I'd had. And they said, well, actually, there's this fund that we've got set aside for you. You could use some of that money in order to finance you going on this tour to the States. And actually, that could be a really good use of the money. And so, okay, there's some money there, so let's go for it and let's work to earn some. And then actually some other people from church heard about the project I was doing and were really keen to back it as well. And so in the end, the money all came in to enable me to go out on this football tour to Colorado during the summer holidays. And so the main ethos of the tour was that we were out there to coach football, or irritatingly soccer, as they kept calling it in the States. And during the mornings and in the afternoons, we were there doing kind of football skills with youngsters. Lots of girls, kind of women's football in the States really had taken off in a much bigger way than men's football. But we were coaching during the day and sharing something of our faith with the boys and girls that we were coaching. Then in the evenings, we were going around Colorado playing kind of tour matches against local football teams. And on one particular occasion, we were playing against a team from the local YMCA. And we all got ready, we got in the minibus, we were kind of just about good to go when a massive thunderstorm kicked off, like thunder and lightning to the next level. It was absolutely hammering down and it just wasn't safe to travel at that time. So we held fire and it was about half an hour before this storm passed over. Eventually, the storm passes over and we think, okay, well, let's head down to the ground. We got there to discover that all the opposition understandably had probably decided the game's not going to go ahead in these conditions, so they had travelled home back to the YMCA. But the YMCA base wasn't too far from the sports pitch, so we continued our journey in the minibus up towards the YMCA, and en route we picked up one guy who looked like he was heading back, still had his boots in his hand, his shorts on. He'd obviously been there, he was a bit damp from the experience. So we said, can we give you a lift? He got into our bus heading back towards the YMCA. And whilst in the bus, we got chatting to him, and turned out he was English and was just really pleased to hear some British accents. He'd been out there for the rest of the summer and surrounded by Americans calling it soccer, and I think just keen to chat to someone who would call it football, and actually to hear some British voices. And then I picked up, hearing him chat to someone in the back, that it turned out he was actually at the same university as I was, UEA in Norwich. So that was really interesting. And then when it came to the football match, which eventually did get played, we managed to gather the rest of the YMCA team, head back down to this pitch in the middle of the Rocky Mountains and play our football match. And during the game, I was on the right wing and he was on the left wing, so it meant we were kind of direct opponents up against each other during the football match. And come the end of the game, one of our players shared a bit of their personal testimony about what Jesus had done in their lives, and we all had these gospel sports tracks that we could then give out to a player from the opposition and just chat to them about what had been said. So as I was kind of sat next to him, gave him my tract and said, what did you think of the talk and the message about Jesus today? And he said, this is so weird. I said, what? And he said, well, since I've been out at the YMCA, I've met some Christians at the base where I've been staying, and I've been thinking about Christianity and what it means, and asking questions about it, and feeling like I'd like to explore it further, but just don't even know where to start. And then he said, and the thing that was really holding me back is I know at university in Norwich, I don't know any Christians. So he said, what I did was this morning, I sat on the end of my bed and I said, God, I'd like to know you're real, but I can't follow you if I don't know anyone who's a Christian at Norwich. So, I need to meet some Christians from Norwich. And then tonight, here you are, turn up with a gospel tract from my own university, 5,000 miles away from Norwich, and here you are today as an answer to that prayer. And I just thought, wow, that was kind of God bringing two people's prayers together, travelling half the way around the world to do it. But my prayer saying, God, what do you want me to do with this summer? His prayer on the end of his bed saying, I just need to know a Christian in Norwich. And since then, we kind of connected up, became good friends. He joined my home group at university when we got back. And, now almost 20 years later, he's pressing on in faith and going deeper with the Lord. So just, really want to share that as an encouragement of how God can use our small prayers, and he sees the big picture and can bring those things together and do amazing things through our simple prayers.
Great. Well, it was really good to hear from Skiv there, just talking about how God can really use and how he cares about our relationships with other people, but also about how God reveals himself and answers our prayers.
Yeah, it's really, really good from Skiv there. We're going to listen to a second life story now, and that is from one of our congregation called Kate, and she talks about how she feels God has led her over the various years through her experiences and what she's been up to. So we're going to listen to that now and then jump into another song afterwards.
I've found over the years that there's been lots of ways in which the Lord has led me. Sometimes it's been through something in the Bible, sometimes it's been through something that's been written in a book, sometimes it's been through a person, and sometimes it's been through other ways, a picture maybe, or even sometimes it's just that deep sort of sense inside you that the Lord is wanting to do something. And over the years that I was working, many times I asked the Lord if I could do other things and give up my job. And always I got the same answer. No, your job is to be where you are, to be God in that place, and to provide money for others to go. And it wasn't until I actually retired that the Lord released me from that. And when he did, it happened very quickly, actually. I took early retirement, a year early, and I just said to God, what do you want me to do? And just before I retired, I got a letter through the post from an organisation that I was not aware of, so I have no idea how they got my address, saying that the mercy ship Anastasis was in London, and they were having an open evening and an invitation to go. And that was one of the things where I just knew deep down I'd got to go. And I went down, and they did a presentation. And halfway through the presentation, the speaker says, oh, by the way, we've just lost our pharmacist. I am a qualified pharmacist. And I thought, oh. And my reaction was that, I've never felt called to Africa, and I don't like heat. And I think the answer was, so what? And anyway, I went and had a chat with them and got all the paperwork and everything, came back. Went into work the next morning, walked down the corridor in the pharmacy to be greeted by one of the part-time pharmacists who had also been at that presentation. And her comment to me was, you are going, aren't you, Kate? And that was the beginning of about 6 years when I went at different times to Africa. Absolutely loved the time there. I wouldn't have missed it for anything. It wasn't easy at times. The culture was very different and so on. But the other thing that I've learned is that God will bring you to an end of a time, and you need to be able to recognise that. And certainly with the work that I did with Mercy Ships, the last time I went out, I knew it was going to be the last time. They were actually retiring the Anastasis anyway, and that was what... but it was important that I was there, because there were a number of people who on the team who were actually quite hurt, and I was in a position to be able to have a quiet place where I could talk with them. And that came to an end. And then shortly after that, I felt the Lord was telling me to move on from the church where I was. Now, I'd been at that church for, I think, 25 years. But it was very clear. There was a new church starting up in the town, and I felt that it was right to join them, and I did. They later on bought an old building, and I became very much involved with that work, and also with administration work there. But again, it came to a point where the Lord said, "It's enough. I want you to do something else." And he led me into working with Azalea, which is an organisation in Luton that works with the street women. And it was fairly well in its early stages at that point. And I spent 5 years until I came up here working with them. Loved the time that I was there, got to know many of the women really well. And you just, they are just people. And you don't always understand why they've been led into those sort of things. Often it's just circumstances. And then when I came to move up here, I always knew that I was going to move back to Norfolk. And then at the beginning of the year, about 6 years ago now, God said to me I'd got to sell the flat that I'd got down here, which then meant that I hadn't got anywhere to come to. No, I don't like this idea, but okay, God, I'll push the door and I'll do it. And sometimes you just do have to push the door. And I sold the flat. I then continued to look for a property up here, and eventually found a property that I really, really liked. And I felt, the moment I walked in the door, I thought, this is the right one. Went back to Luton, put my house on the market, and 2 days later I'd sold it. Don't think I was very popular with the estate agent, because I sold it for the asking price, and I did have 1 or 2 offers above the asking price, but I wanted a family to have it. And there was a Polish family with a little boy who really wanted it, and I felt that that was the right thing to do. And then, having done that everything just went through right. But there are times when you push a door and God closes it. And that's happened to me a few times. When my parents were alive, I did try to move back to Norfolk to be nearer them, and each time God closed the door. And you have to be prepared for that. If you push the door and he opens it, fine. If you push the door and he closes it, that's it. So that's my story. And as I say, all the way along, I've been aware of God's leading in it, particularly when I was going, first time I went out to Africa, because every time I wavered, God seemed to just intervene with something or other and say, no, you're going. And that was the way it was.
Give you my life, God. I give you my song, the beautiful fragments of a soul lost in love. If you will lead me to wear out my shoes and run for the kingdom, I keep running for you. I give you my life, God. I give you my song, the beautiful fragments of a soul lost in love. If you will lead me to wear out my shoes and run for the kingdom, I'll keep running for you. I will follow. 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 Be lifted high, God. Be lifted high, my God. And oh, and my life be lifted higher, higher. And my life be lifted higher, higher. And my life be lifted
It's been really good this week to listen to a couple of our congregation and to hear their life stories and what they feel God has been doing in their lives over the various years. There are other life stories that we've done. They are both on the Lighthouse Creative website and also on the YouTube videos, on the YouTube as videos. And you can find those in the links in the description, which will be just below this video that you're watching at the moment.
Yeah, and as we said, we are really passionate about people and Jesus and how he has moved in people's lives. So if you are watching this and you feel like you've got a life story or a testimony, might be a moment that was really significant in your life, that how God's moved, we'd love to hear that. So come and grab one of us, me or Tim or Gareth Gabriel. If you find us on a Sunday, come speak to us. If not, email us at hello@lighthousecreative.org. We'd love to hear from you. But anyway, thanks for tuning in this evening, everyone, and we'll see you again next week.
Worship our King. Come, let us bow at his feet. He has done great things. See what our Savior has done. See how his love overcomes. He has done great things. He has done great things. Unshakable.